All fingers in Big D are pointing at the D. Rob Ryan's unit has been less than stellar this year. They rank middle of the pack. Here's Keyshawn Johnson from Monday Night Countdown on the Dallas defense.
Take a look at the defense, though. And take a look at Rob Ryan. You know, I talked to some people in Dallas that play on the defense. I'm not going to say their names. They're just friends of mine. And they say, we got too much stuff, Key. We don't know our assignments. We've blown coverages that people haven't found out. I mean, they didn't find us. You know,
But it's December.
Wrong.
Shouldn't they know it by now?
Sometimes coaches put too much stuff in because they're geniuses and they're too great.
Know your personnel.
Okay, you got to know what you got and know who's who, and they don't do that.
All right, interesting theory. Who do you blame for the troubles in Dallas? Is it the players or is it Rob Ryan? Is it too complicated?
Well, here's my problem. I have no problem with what Keyshawn says. That's his opinion. The problem I have is unnamed players who are going to make those calls and say, hey, it's too complicated.
Right.
Why don't you spend a little less time on the phone and a little more time studying your information? And the other thing is, Rob Ryan doesn't have a lock on his door. He's in every single one of those meetings. You have every right to say, this is too much. We don't understand this. Here's the other thing you have the right to do. Get people together after practice and study. But to say that there's too much stuff and to not do anything about it and then criticize someone after the fact, that's wrong. That's wrong. And the other thing is, A.B. Elam missed last week because his father passed away. So there was going to, and he has a large part of the communication in that secondary.
Yeah.
If there was too much, someone could have stepped up and said, hey, Rob, we're missing Abe right now. Let's
we don't know
back.
that didn't happen. I mean, he may have gone to the coach.
I've known Rob Ryan for years. It's not like he sits back and says, this is what we're running. This is all we're going to run. I'm not going to take your input. It's not true.
So he would listen to players if they said that.
Of course he would listen to players.
Well, listen, I definitely think that you have a point there. For players to come out and indict Rob Ryan like that is wrong. It's uncalled for.
Now, I don't know that they wanted that public.
I understand it.
Well, you wouldn't tell Keyshawn Johnson
they didn't want their name. Let me say this. Come on, hold on.
Okay,
Skip. You and I both know. If they said it, they wanted it out there. They just didn't want their name attributed to it. All right? But the point that I'm making is this. Even with all of that said, Coach, and you're absolutely right with every point that you just made, it doesn't negate the fact that at the end of the day, it does come down to Rob Ryan's defense. You got a 12-point lead with 5 minutes, 41 seconds left. You're battling for the NFC East division. You come fresh off a loss to Arizona. You've got your backs against the wall. You know you lose this game, you could end up missing the playoffs. You really could, okay? And you don't get it done on your home turf with a 12-point lead on national television, Sunday Night Football. I'm sorry. Rob Ryan has gotten a lot of credit, a lot of face time on camera and all of this stuff, and particularly the earlier part of the season. But yet and still, when it comes down to it, the Dallas Cowboys defense has been virtually non-existent over the last several weeks.
So the blame goes to?
That's my issue.
To
me, he has to be. He's the guy that has to be held. Do I think he should be fired or something? Of course not. I'm just saying that right now, he's the guy that has to be held accountable.
Well, here's the other thing about Rob Ryan, and I think we have all seen this. He'll step up and say it's my fault. He'll take accountability, and that's one of the things I really like about him, I really respect about him. The problem I have is when someone comes out unnamed. If that's how you feel, step up, put your name on it, and if you don't want to say it publicly, then don't say it.
For those that don't know, Rob was your coordinator in Cleveland.
Why don't you try to do something about it?
No, hold on, Coach. I can't let that slide. You're right, what you're saying about the players. But in fairness to those players, I must ask you a question. If they did come out and spoke publicly the way that they did, if somebody had said publicly and attached their name to what Keyshawn Johnson said, you as the coach, what would you do to them?
I would be frustrated by the fact that he didn't take the time to come up.
I know that.
That to me is my issue.
I'm asking what would you do? Because a player is worried about the repercussions if he is
probably depends, Stephen A., on the player that said it.
But the issue I have, Stephen A., is why isn't he worried about what's taking place on the field? I agree with that. And if you really care about what's happening on the field, you don't air it in the court of public opinion. You say, hey, Rob, this is what I think. And you say to the other players, this is what I think. How can we improve? And talk to Teddy Bruschi about the way we'd operate in New England. If he said, look, Eric, I don't feel like, or I feel this is too much, or Rodney Harrison, or whoever it was, you respect that because you know how hard they work and how hard they study. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to get it right.
Okay, you know how much I love Rob Ryan. And I said going into this year he would be this team's MVP, even above Tony Romo. and I defended Rob through about week 8, and I can't defend him totally anymore. But I'm going to split the blame 50-50 between players and coordinator here, because a lot of what Rob has tried hasn't worked. And I'm not in those meetings, so I don't know exactly what it was, but I thought he would blitz people blind the way his father used to, the way Jim Johnson used to with Philadelphia. I don't see that work at all over the last 6 or 8 games. Tony Romo has saved the day again and again and saved the defense until finally, with a 12-point lead at home on Sunday night, the defense just couldn't get it home. And even Romo got him to a field goal attempt that got blocked. My point is, the players on that team are gutless and heartless and without a leader. The defense has no leader. I thought Terrence Newman basically quit in that game the other night. There's one deep ball on the one that Manningham dropped. It looked like he just quit on it, like I give up. They were disorganized. It was chaotic. They're looking at each other, and again, maybe they were missing their leader out on the field, their guy who lines them up, but they couldn't get lined up in crucial situations. It was a disaster. And again, maybe Rob is stuck with a bunch of DBs who just can't play and don't care enough to play and don't care enough to study and don't care enough not to talk to Keyshawn about what's going on inside meeting rooms.
So Rob or the players?
I said I got to go 50-50, but I can't let Rob off the hook here.
That's all I'm saying.
That team is without a leader. Romo's not a leader. DeMarcus Ware is not a leader.
And for Rob to have the cachet that he has, you know, the reputation of being a Ryan, the guy that get that FaceTime, a name attached to it, you know, a guy that's, you know, he really goes after it and he goes after you. One of the biggest crimes of all of this is the fact that he hasn't identified a leader for his defense. It's like, you know, you would think somebody of his personality would find someone.
Maybe there isn't one there.
But he's got. That's why he's there. He's got to find.
Let me ask Coach a question.
Can I just say one
Go
thing
ahead,
about leadership?
and then I'll follow.
It's really, you can identify who you want to lead, but the leader has to be someone that the guys will follow.
And they're born. Leaders are born.
And it happens all the time where I say, okay, you're the leader, but they don't want to follow you. Then you're not the leader. So as much as you're trying to say this is the guy that's gonna step up, it happens naturally.
Yeah.
It just evolves.
What I'm saying to you, Coach, is if you are the leader, Rob Ryan's the leader of that defense. You're looking for somebody to be that leader on the field for you, an extension of yourself. Yeah, granted, you know, you could find somebody, but they got to want to lead, all of that stuff. I'm saying it's up to him to find who that person is.
But it's not want to lead, it's the guys want to follow.
Okay, but it's up to him. I'm saying it's up to him to find that guy.
It's organic.
We've only got 10 seconds, Coach, but you know Rob's defense because he was your coordinator. You know other defenses. Is his that much more complicated that the guys couldn't learn it?
No, it's learnable, but it takes work to get it right. And if you get it right, it pays high dividends. And remember, everybody's criticizing Chicago for not pressuring, for laying off. Here, Rob tries to go at him. There's a breakdown, and now he's criticized for the reverse of that.
You got to execute no matter what the plan is.
Tim Tebow, that's all right,
we're taking a